Good evening. It is 5:30. Time to call our board meeting to order for the Fannin County School System for October 17th, 2024. We want to welcome you that are online to watch our board meeting tonight, as well as you that are here. So thankful for you to come, and want to welcome you, Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, sir. First item on the agenda is invocation, and I'd like to invite Reverend Scott Mathis forward for the invocation. If everyone would stand and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, we just thank you so much for this beautiful day you've given us, God. Thank you for the cooler weather, God. What a joy it is to live here and get to experience all of the seasons and the greatness that you give us, God. And we just thank you for all your many blessings, and we want to lift up our neighboring school districts and communities that were impacted by the hurricanes, God. We just pray that you'll continue to be with them, God, as they begin to put their lives back together, God. Just continue to show them your goodness, and even in the midst of a tragedy like that, God. And we pray for our school system, God, that you'll continue to protect our children and our staff, God, and just be with each of these board members, God. I thank you for them and for their service, and to our school system, God. Be with this meeting tonight, and we pray all these things in your Son's holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Mathis. I'd like to invite Deputy Sirianni forward to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Mr. Chair, the next item on the agenda is to approve the consent agenda, and with that, if Ms. Collis will pull up the minutes for us, please, ma'am. We only have one set of minutes from September 12th, 2024, regular meeting. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Chair, I make a recommendation to approve as presented.
Board, we have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor by raised hand. It is unanimous.
Thank you. Next item is school governance team update. Dr. Roof, if you would come forward and let us know what's going on at the school governance teams, please, sir.
Good evening, board. We had a meeting at Blue Ridge, had fundraiser requests there and a field trip request, and facility use, no request there. Some of the things that Blue Ridge took care of, got input from the SGT members when it comes to charter, and we will talk more about that at the next board meeting for sure. We discussed charter innovative features and looked at title budgets, reviewed school safety, reviewed staff survey, and looked at team questions for the next meeting. Also took time to discuss potential safety upgrades during a tour of the outside of their school. East Fannin had some notable work, looked at information on Senate Bill 48, which deals with dyslexia, and talked about what it means to be a charter school, and also discussed upcoming SGT training, and then also talked about the upcoming car show that they had there, their fall festival. And then also East Fannin had another meeting there, had a fundraiser request, field trip request, and no facility use, and then took time to discuss their traffic flow during parent pickup, talked about map growth and map data. So those are diagnostic and formative assessments that we give to our students, and looked at safety procedures and also the success of the car show. West Fannin had fundraiser requests, several field trip requests, no facility use requests, and discussed SPLOST funds, safety, reviewed fall benchmark data, discussed QBE funds, discussed an updated Title I and Title IV budgets, and looked at the STEAM kickoff that they'll have October 25th, and looked at thank you from Ms. Dillard and from me about the SGT training that we had that took place. Middle school had several fundraiser requests, field trip requests, and no facility use, discussed student achievement data, safety, and also why sports are being played on Wednesdays. And then finally, as usual, we had a high school with several fundraiser requests, several field trip requests, facility use requests, and approved Title I and Title IV budgets, looked at safety measures, the approved of a creative art club, and then also announced that the Jumbotron would be installed by the last football game, and I believe we made that early,
Yeah.
hit that deadline. And then announced the downtown mural created by art students at the Chamber. And also as a reminder, as usual, the full minutes of these meetings are housed at the individual schools.
Thank you, Dr. Roof. Next item on the agenda, Mr. Chair, is public comment. Mr. Danner, do we have any public comment?
Yes, ma'am, we have one, Mr. Chris Smiley. He's wanting to speak on clear backpacks.
Thank you. Mr. Smiley, did Mr. Danner explain everything and you got it, you understand and anything? that
Yes,
we can
ma'am.
do? All right, thank you so much for being here.
Certainly. Thanks for letting me speak. So I just want to say that the clear backpack policy to me is unacceptable. Furthermore, how the school district implemented the policy with no consideration or input from the community, I don't think that's acceptable either. To me, it's a clear violation of the Fourth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Jane Doe versus the Little Rock School District offers some precedent in this matter. The courts ruled in favor of the students and against the schools implementing random searches without reasonable suspicion, upholding our children's rights that are enshrined by the Fourth Amendment. The clear backpack policy appears to be nothing more than the schools releasing the faculty and resource officers from the requirement of having reasonable suspicion in order to search our children. The court opinion in Doe versus Little Rock School District further cites the 14th Amendment, writing, "The 14th Amendment extends this constitutional guarantee to searches by state officers, including public school officials." The policy actually states, quote, "Any non-transparent pouch, purse, or lunch bag should be no larger than approximately 6 inches by 9 inches by 5 inches and may be subject to search." The court opinion continues, stating, quote, "Public school students thus retain a protection against unreasonable searches of their backpacks and purses by school officials," end quote. With this case as precedent, it's clear that the school system is subjecting itself to potential lawsuit and its staff to unnecessary liability by violating basic constitutional rights. The clear backpack policy is nothing more than a workaround of our students' right to privacy. School resource officers, administrators, and staff do not have the right to search our children's personal belongings. The school system does not have the right to implement policy that sets aside or circumvents our children's Fourth Amendment right to privacy. This is a matter of principle in the administrative state overreaching and diminishing the rights of the people for nothing more than theater. Why is the school system creating a problem when there is no problem in Fannin County? On that note, why is the school system proposing an ineffective solution to a non-existent problem? I believe it is our duty as a freedom-loving people to challenge the authority of the administrative state whenever that authority overreaches and diminishes the power that we as a free people have and hold. I've read the argument from the school system stating that it will make everyone safer. There's plenty of data out there for anyone to research that this is simply not true. This policy is creating the illusion of safety. Again, it is mere theater. It does not solve any problems, it does not protect anyone, it does not serve the community, and it certainly does not serve our children. We, the people, are obligated to ensure that those inalienable rights granted to us by God and protected by our Constitution are maintained for future generations. It's obvious the school system is implementing this policy strictly so they can release themselves from the requirement of having reasonable suspicion in order to look into our children's backpacks and personal items, thus elevating themselves above our children's constitutional right to privacy. I implore the Fannin County School System and this school board to reverse this dangerous and ineffective policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smiley. Mr. Danner?
That's all.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Smiley, thank you. Mr. Chair, next item on the agenda is to approve the school year 2024-2029 Fannin County School System Strategic Plan. Dr. Roof?
Absolutely. Good evening again, Board. So the reason that this is 2024 to 2029 is every 5 years we are, when it comes to charter and when it comes to Cognia, we are to make sure that we have a strategic plan that looks to those 5 years. However, if at any point we see the need to change part of our strategic plan when we have our meetings, our district leadership meetings, school improvement team meetings, SGT meetings, at any point we are able to make those tweaks, make those changes. So I just say that to say, don't feel as though that you are approving a plan that's a 5-year plan that can't be changed until 2029. That's not how it works. It's very fluid, very flexible, and can be changed during any school year. So with that said, I know that you gentlemen had the opportunity to look at this plan in advance. We do have, and also I want to back up and make sure that we also know that this plan fits very closely with the Cognia standards, which will be going through Cognia accreditation, reaccreditation next school year. It fits with the charter renewal standards, which we'll be going through also very soon. It also fits with our district CLIP, which is our consolidated improvement plan. And so this strategic plan fits with all those, which is very necessary in order for all that to tie together in one nice, neat package. So we do have the strategic goal 1 there of attaining a high level of student achievement, and we have the strategy A, strategy B, and then also keep scrolling there, and then we have strategic plan goal 2, developing organizational effectiveness, and again we have strategies and action steps underneath that. And then we have our goal 3 of ensuring stakeholder support and satisfaction. And then we have strategy A there with various action steps. So another point to bring up is that this entire plan also fits with all that we do for when it comes to exemplary board and when it comes to our superintendent's evaluation. So this plan fits and ties to all of those instruments as well.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I make a recommendation to approve as presented.
Board, we have a recommendation. Is there a motion?
You have a motion.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Is there any discussion? I'd like to make a point right there that this strategic goal number 3, ensuring stakeholder support and satisfaction, and it gives the opportunity, like Mr. Cripps, to be involved, but there's also that other element that you just spoke of just previously in a school governance team. So, I guess my question is, how many people are actively in that school governance team? Like, they come for public comment or to hear the things that are going on, as in a charter system in which we are, because that illustrates the governance of our school. So my question is, how often do you see people in that realm of being at the?
In that realm,
Yeah,
It's probably a good question
Yeah.
to ask the principals. Principals, do you all historically have people outside of the required members at your open meetings for school governance team?
so probably not as often as we'd like.
right, okay.
Do
And so,
y'all advertise those like open meetings and everything?
And so there is a lot of information
Mhm.
that is taking place there, then comes here for approval. Some things never come here because it's not a board policy.
Correct.
There we go. Okay. so
Correct.
Are there any other comments?
Mr. DeWeese?
At first view of this, I disapproved, but I've learned to respect it in that we have people out in the community that come in as liaisons. They come into the system, they find out the true facts about the system, and they go back to the community, and it bonds our county together, in my opinion, because they're a different voice from a different sect of people, or what would you call them, a different mentality about our school. They're kind of like I said, liaisons to unite our community.
Absolutely.
And I think it's been very effective.
I agree.
Absolutely.
All in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to approve board policy IEDA, and this policy was, you all approved to table it for 30 days on September 12th, 2024, and Dr. Roof would like to review it this time.
Absolutely. And so we presented this policy at the previous board meeting. It has been open for public review inside assembly as required. And at this point, we are now bringing it back at this board meeting. And so this policy is one that, again, it fits our current practices. It fits our practices that we've had for a long time, decades. It's just that we know that we needed to have a policy in place that matched our practices. And so that has to do with the fact that we require each elementary school to schedule recess, and we do. Our principals do a phenomenal job of making sure that the kids have all of the activity that they need in terms of recess, gym, other activities as well. But there are some stipulations in there, that discuss how breaks may be withheld from students for disciplinary or academic reasons if prior notice of such is provided to the students, and then also failure to fulfill classroom responsibilities or adhere to academic requirements could result in a loss of break time as well. But again, this policy, again, matches beautifully with our practices that have taken place for many years.
With that said, Mr. Chair, I make a recommendation to approve as presented.
Board, we have a recommendation. I would like to make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you, sir. Is there any discussion? All in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Roof. Next item on the agenda is to approve purchase of vehicle for driver's education program. Mr. Drury.
Good evening, Board, Madam Superintendent. I'd like to recommend the purchase of one 2023 Ford F-150 4x4 Super Crew truck from Brandon Motor Company in Unadilla, Georgia. The purchase price of the F-150 truck is $47,000. The total cost of $47,000 we paid from SPOS funds. The truck will be purchased using the statewide contract with the Georgia Department of Administrative Services.
Thank you, sir. And then Ms. Collis is scrolling down for the,
Yes, we have the letter there. We went with that particular dealership because they're a high-volume dealership that can do the state contract pricing. Most dealerships can't do that because you got to be a very, very high volume to be able to give those prices that the state contracting is based upon. So that's why we went with that particular dealership.
And Mr. Drury, I noticed it was a 2023. Can you explain why we're going with
It's a 2023 because of the availability, just like with anything. It seems like lately it's hard to get things. So this is something that we've worked with that dealership that they have in stock that if y'all approve, that would be available for us to go pick up because it's going, we have to fit it for driver's ed, adding the extra brake and, to make it safe for them. So we need to get it to us so we can get all that installed for them. So the fact that it's available right now is a huge plus.
And why are we choosing to go with the Ford F-150?
We looked at several things besides it being available now. When we went and talked to Dr. Ramsey and to Ms. Pass, which is the driver's ed instructor, a couple of things that they really wanted was, one, safety. This particular vehicle has a 5-star rating, safety rating. It also has some of the advanced safety features that you see on some of the new cars, like the lane assist and some things that will be beneficial to new drivers learning how to drive. So, and then they also, Ms. Pass, one of her requests was she needed something a little bit bigger. You put 3 high school young men in the car and they're squished. So the fact that the safety rating and the size of it really fit their criteria. And then the next thing that me and Ms. Diller had discussed was to be a little bit proactive when we buy something like this down the road when it can't be used as a driver's ed, can we use it for something else? So with it being a truck, we can roll it into our maintenance fleet. We can use it for checking roads on inclement weather days. So it's going to give us a lot more options down the road when we have to replace it with another vehicle. And so we'll be able to utilize it in other ways.
Is increased visibility one of the?
Sorry, sir.
Is increased visibility?
It does. We looked at a couple of 3 or 4 different models. We looked at a SUV and a couple of different trucks, and everything we researched we did about this said it was a much better vehicle for new drivers. It was a little bit easier to drive, and it had the advanced safety features that the other ones did not have.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I make a recommendation to approve as presented.
Board, we have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
You do.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second? Thank you, sir. Is there any discussion?
One thing, I think the vehicle you've got now is what, around 9-10 year old?
It is. It's a 2014, so it's 10 years old.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And it's very small.
It's
'Cause
small.
I saw it on the road the other day.
Yes, sir.
Considering our children who are taking driver's ed, that's a must right there.
Yes, sir. The fact of it giving more room and the fact that it's going to be a much safer vehicle is
Right.
is a plus.
Any other discussion? All in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous.
Y'all just made Miss Pass's day. Yeah.
Thank you.
We made the Children's Day too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, next item on the agenda is to approve the district financial report for June 2024. There's actually 2 financial reports on this agenda, and Ms. Wynn will explain a new procedure that she and I have discussed.
Good evening, Board, Madam Superintendent. So this is our final statements for June of 2024. So this includes our accruals for June. So this is our general fund. So you can see we're at 100.65% for revenue, 91.49% for expenditures for budget. So it has all the updated budgets that were approved and all the expenditures. There's the capital projects. And then the special revenues. So this matches everything that's been uploaded to the state, and that's the school nutrition. So that's the final reports for June of 2024.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I make a recommendation to approve as presented.
Board, we have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion. I'll make the second. Is there any discussion? All in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous.
Thank you. All right, that closed one, Ms. Wynn. Next item on the agenda, Mr. Chair, is approved district financial report for And in August 2024.
So we have August 2024, and I want to call your attention to the top column that says modified accrual basis. And I want to explain what you have normally been seeing is more of a cash basis. So you would see every July, you saw July, everything that was paid out in July, even though in July you had salaries that were accrued in those prior statements. So these statements are not going to show July and August things that were paid because they're over in those final expenses in last year.
So
They're
it was
showing-
actually in last year's expenditures in last year's budget at the closing of the budget.
Correct. So literally the old way was they stayed on there, then they were taken off and the new accruals were put on. But now you're going to see the true accrued modified statements. So you can actually see a better, clearer picture of what each month is for actual expenditures. So you can see our revenues and then our expenditures to date. So these are July and August for our general fund. And then our capital projects and special revenues. And then school nutrition.
Excellent, thank you. And Ms. Nguyen, just to clarify then, when we come to the end of the fiscal year and we still have 2 months of accrued paid, then it would look like you were having 2 months at one time, but it's just the way that it rolls.
And that's right, and that's why it looks, you see a little less revenue and less expenditures when you see percentage of budget right now.
Excellent, all right. With that said, Mr. Chair, I make a recommendation to approve as presented.
Board, we have a recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous.
Thank you, and thank you for that work, Ms. Nguyen. Next item on the agenda is SPLOST update.
We received $904,595.59 in September for the month, the sales that were generated in August. So we're actually 14,000 more than what we were projected so far, and we still have a few more months to go.
Yes, and that's because that we hit the window where the Department of Audit's correct.
We're still
allowed it.
on this until the Department of Audits cuts that quarter off.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Chair, next item on the agenda is to approve technology items as surplus. Mr. Mathis?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, board and Ms. Dillard. Hope you're all doing well. I come before you this evening to ask for the approval of all of the surplus technology hardware. It begins with the items at my office, and then as you scroll down, Ms. Collis, you will see the memos from each of our schools with the items that they would like to surplus. And so surplus means that we are requesting to be able to sell these items to recoup a little bit of money. They are still usable, and we will put them on gov deals like we've done in the past. That's kind of, I say the eBay for government entities, and so people can go on there and bid on these items, and they will go to the highest bidder and come and pick them up, and then we'll make a little bit of money on those.
Excellent. So, Mr. Mathis, they are still usable by someone that would need them to operate
Yes,
on their
ma'am.
platform or in
That
their
is
schools.
correct. They are, most of all of the, well, I won't say most, all of these items are at least 5 years old. And so we have a replacement policy of these items for the district where we replace them after 5 years to keep everything running at, at pristine shape, and so everyone can do their job without having to wait on technology, hopefully. So, but they are usable. I will say this: some of the people that come and purchase them in the past, I generally ask them, "What are you going to do with them?" And several of them take them and sell them overseas. Send them overseas to some other school systems and things like that. And that reminds me to say this: all data and everything has been taken off of these devices. The hard drives of computers has been taken out, and so there's no data that ties them to our children or our staff.
So it's all been cleaned?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Chair, I make a recommendation to approve as presented.
Board, we have a recommendation. Is there a motion?
You have a motion.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
No discussion, but a comment.
Yes, sir.
When we went through the school to look at those classrooms, there was one class that young students were troubleshooting and repairing, taking apart computers and replacing parts in.
And so we're gonna get to that. That's a great comment. That goes under this next memo.
So,
All in favor by raised hand? Thank you. It is unanimous.
Thank you.
thank you. Mr. Chair, before we go to the next item, I'd like to just ask Mr. Mathis something. Mr. Masson, is it a policy that we do it every 5 years or a standard practice?
It is a standard practice.
Okay.
I may have said policy, but I misspoke. It is just a practice. That is correct.
That is quite all right.
Thank you.
We're all getting
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. Next item on the agenda, Mr. Chair, is approved technology item as salvage.
So these items, Mr. Deweese and the rest of the board, are items that are no longer functioning. And so salvage means, of course, we will be getting rid of them. And the process for that is we have a recycling company that comes and picks up all of this equipment. Does not charge us any money because I think they make a little money once they break it down and all. So they come and get all of this equipment. But to speak to yours, Mr. Deweese, some of these computers and things like that no longer work, we will use in those situations to let students take apart and learn on. And even some of our Chromebooks, the screens get broke quite often on a Chromebook. We also let our students replace those, in some clubs. I know Mr. Young has a club at Blue Ridge where some students do that kind of thing, and they really love it. They really enjoy doing things like that with technology. So these items are salvaged and are no longer usable. Were not able to be surplused or sold because of the condition that they're in.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chair, I make a recommendation to approve as presented.
Thank you, ma'am. Board, we have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
You have a motion.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? I'd like to comment that while we were at Blue Ridge Elementary, watching those elementary kids do that, I'm amazed at their steady hand and their ability to see.
Some of them screws are really tiny. Yes, sir. That's right.
They did a great job. They did a great job.
That's a great skill to learn as well. So thank you for that.
All in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda is construction and facilities update. Mr. Danner?
Thank you, Ms. Dillard. Maintenance Department, 791 work orders completed as of yesterday since July the 1st. So a couple pictures here. I think I've got over 600 pictures so far. So again, I didn't know how I was going to do this. So I tried to do a before and after as of yesterday. So this is standing up on the little knoll by the little dumpster up on the visitor side parking lot, looking back towards the DMV. Go ahead, Ms. Collis. So there was a before and after. Next one is looking down at the old road. So that's before. That's what that looks like now. Go ahead, Ms. Collis. I call this the baseball field. So this is going to be the tail end of the baseball field looking there. Go ahead, Ms. Collis. Before and after. Go ahead, Ms. Collis. Another picture of the old road, that was before. Of course, the road is now gone. Go ahead, Ms. Collis. That's a before and after. And then the last one, again, before and after. So they've touched about a third of the property that has to be disturbed. So If you've not been by there, you need to go by there to take a look. It's going to be truly amazing. Ms. Collis, the other attachment there. Also, if you've not been to the high school in the last week or so, so again, I've got a few pictures here. Go ahead, Ms. Collis. Our video board is now installed at the high school. Pictures do not do it justice. So again, that was turned on yesterday evening about 7 o'clock. Had some issues, but again, got corrected. And actually, flag football is putting it to use as we speak. So again, but turning it on this today, playing with the sound and just looking at it, it runs cold chills down your arms. And so again, very, very excited about it. Hopefully, we should have a GMP for our show barn before November 1st. So hopefully at the November board meeting, be presenting that to you. Some safety things that are still in place. All schools is double buzz-in are now installed. We're still waiting on some gates and some fences to be installed. Those have been ordered. And again, some other procedures there, had locks on installed. Actually had those been on order, got put on today at Blue Ridge Elementary. So again, we're still, still looking at safety and some things and still making some procedures adjustments on it.
Excellent.
Is that all splosh funds?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, and I would also like to thank the board for letting us add that into the, when we were looking at doing the fields into that GMP. And I also want to thank Dr. Ramsey, who we've all had the discussion about a board can be just a fancy billboard display, or it can be used for instructional purposes. So I commend Dr. Ramsey for already identifying some faculty members that's willing to embrace students and teach them graphic arts and sports casting and those kind of things, just to kind of up that to that next level for those students, which could eventually lead to a career.
Ms. Collis, who was that kid today? What grade was he in? A ninth grader. You ever seen him mashing buttons, making that thing sing and dance? I mean, it was amazing. It was truly amazing.
So-
And just for the record, hopefully we're going to repurpose the existing scoreboard, take it to the middle school. Again, we won't do that till after season this year, because I know Dr. Hodges and their coaches staff would like to start having football back at the middle school. So again, we're going to repurpose the existing scoreboard over there. Just one more thing that we can do to move it around, because it is operational. And so again, we got some other things that we got planned also at the middle school.
It's exciting, and I love our faculty and staff, because even though it's just everything that's done, they make sure that it's an opportunity for the kids, and that comes from them, and I commend them. So with that said, Mr. Danner, I thank you for that. Mr. Chair, next item on the agenda is personnel, and I'll give y'all just a minute to get to your personnel sheets. Okay. First item on the personnel sheet is a resignation, Crystal Gua, effective 10/31/2024. Mr. Chair, I make that recommendation.
Board, we have a recommendation. Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous.
Thank you. The next set of recommendations are all for substitute employees. They're all pending completion of paperwork, background check, and training requirements. And if no one objects, I'd like to take them collectively when appropriate. Okay? The first one is Nolan Adams for substitute effective 10/21/2024. Mr. Chair, I make that recommendation.
I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous.
Thank you. This next group is all effective 10/21/2024, all for substitute teacher. We'll take those collectively, and it's Lisa Adams, Crystal Gua, Kirsten Holloway, Philip Ledford, Anna Rhodes, James Rissmiller, Hannah Smith, Tasha Tipton, and Victoria Turner. Mr. Chair, I make that recommendation.
Board, we have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Is there a second? Thank you, sir. There a motion and a second. All in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous.
Excellent. Next one is effective 10/21/2024, substitute school nutrition, Kathleen Cole. Mr. Chair, I make that recommendation.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous.
Thank you. Next one is effective 10/21/2024 for substitute transportation, and that is Dusty Henry. Mr. Chair, I make that recommendation.
I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and
Third.
second. All in favor by raised hand? It is unanimous.
Thank you. And that concludes the personnel sheet for this meeting. Next is superintendent comments, and I just want to say that we have had a blessed first 9 weeks. There's been some tragedy to our neighboring counties, but the miracle and the blessing is how this community continues to come together and embrace one another, and it grows closer, and very blessed for that. And I'm so proud of all of our faculty and staff that work so hard for our kids. And we're approaching that time of year. That's my favorite time of year. We have multiple opportunities to celebrate with our community and for our community to get involved. We have Veterans Days programs coming up, Thanksgiving meals at the schools, White Christmas with the elementary, and other Christmas programs. So I encourage everyone to come out and celebrate with our students. And Mr. Smiley, thank you so much for taking your time and coming and using your voice and advocating for your beliefs. It is appreciated. So we are Fannin, and we are blessed. Mr. Chair?
Mr. Galloway.
Sure. I've got a flag football to get to. I've got a daughter in it, so I'm going to be extremely quick. Thank y'all for coming. Love y'all, and God bless y'all. Let's get out of here. I'm done.
Mr. DeWeese?
Let me start saying I'm not angry, but I am angry. I'm very disappointed in the Highway 5 location with the Fannin County School. Mr. Johnny Chastain has been supportive and affectionate toward it. I think he cares. But frankly, I don't think Mr. Gooch does. And I want to verbally, publicly ask y'all, do not vote for Mr. Gooch. I approached him at a meeting not too long ago, at a Republican meeting, and he wouldn't let me finish telling him how I felt about that situation. So once again, please don't vote for Mr. Gooch for senator. That's all I have.
Mr. Bratton.
Thank you all for being here. I don't think it was mentioned earlier, but maybe it's in the printed material that's given out, but on public comment, the board, and we do appreciate your comments. The board does not respond directly. We will discuss it, and if a response is deemed appropriate, the superintendent will contact you with a collective response. But that's the way we handle public comment, and it's been that way for as long as I can remember. But thank you all for being here. It's, as always, it's an honor to serve, and out of respect for Mr. Galloway's deadline, I'll be brief.
Well, I'm not. No, I'm not one kid. Thank everybody for being here, especially our principals. You know, back when I first started being on the board, we might have one principal here, and next meeting we'd have another one, but our principals come, and I appreciate that. I want to say, remember those who have been affected by storms. You know, I can't imagine losing everything I got. Can you? I just can't imagine that. And there's people out there who's lost everything they had. Please be in prayer for those people. Also, I what's the word I want to use? Overwhelmed by our welding program at the high school.
Here, here.
Yes, indeed.
Mr. Ramsey, I want you to carry that to them. I mean, it's unbelievable. They got a good teacher. That's one thing. There's things that you got to have a good program like that. You got to have a good teacher, and you got to have good students or participants. And I think we got both of them. We are Fannin, and we got children that can participate and make state and all that stuff. I ain't got no years in. I only got 65 years in welding. I did some today, but I am extremely proud. I'm extremely proud of all of our programs at school.
Yeah.
All of them, not just welding, but me being a welding man, I'm particularly fond of welding, so anyhow. I love all of you, and I bid you a good night. Bye.
Well, I had the privilege in May to sign certificates as our kids graduated, and what an honor. But I shook a lot of hands, every one of them actually, and most of these guys have already done that before. But it is an honor, and I had a young guy, Luke Callahan, came through and wearing that Marine sash. I said, man, I'd like to come see you graduate. So I had the privilege this past week on Friday to attend his ceremony graduation at Paris Island, and it was good. I'm real honored to be there, and just because we've set it up here many times. We work hard together. We get involved, and we are family. And
Yep.
we feel that way to us, to you, and it's an honor with you principals. Not only that, I thank the SROs, brother Tony back there. I just appreciate what he does for us, and to recognize with all that grading, with Mr. Danning, all that grading, that while he needs to get out of here, and I'm closing, he needs to go for sports. Yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, this week's softball going off. We had volleyball tournaments. We have track and field, running going on. It's a everyday thing, everyday venture that our kids are involved in, stuff going off every day. And it is such an honor to be a part and to be able to serve and to help them be fruitful in what they like to do. And that's like with that screen. That is such, I've heard through the community how much people wanted that, and I'm so happy that we're able to finally get that in place. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor by raised hand. It is unanimous.
You beat me, Chad.